Every criminal you've ever heard about started as a normal person. They weren't born robbers. They weren't born killers. So what changed? What happens inside someone's mind before they commit their first crime? What thoughts do they tell themselves? What justifications do they create? And how do they convince themselves that hurting someone else is worth it? Tonight, we step inside the darkest place of all, the human mind. Because once you understand how criminals think, you'll realize something terrifying. Sometimes, the difference between a criminal and everyone else is just one decision. Every crime begins the same way. Not with a weapon, not with violence, but with a thought, a quiet voice inside someone's mind whispering, "I could do this." Most criminals don't wake up planning to break the law. They wake up like everyone else. They brush their teeth. They scroll through their phones. They go to work, but somewhere inside their mind, something is different. A shift in thinking, a justification, a moment where the line between right and wrong begins to disappear. We step inside the criminal mind. How do criminals think? What turns an ordinary person into someone capable of theft, violence, even murder? And the most chilling question of all, could someone like that be living right next door? One of the biggest myths about criminals is that they look dangerous. People imagine criminals as dark figures hiding in alleys. But reality is far more disturbing. Many criminals look completely normal. Take Ted Bundy, a charming law student, or John Wayne Gacy, a friendly neighbor who entertained children, or Dennis Rader, the church council president. They live in quiet neighborhoods. They smile at coworkers. And no one suspects the darkness hidden behind those ordinary faces. To the world, they appeared harmless. But inside their minds, a completely different story was unfolding. A story of obsession, control, and opportunity. Before a crime ever happens in the real world, it happens in the mind. Consider the infamous case of Leopold and Loeb, two brilliant students who believed they were so superior they could commit the perfect murder. Their crime didn't begin with anger. It began with a thought: we are above the law. This is the moment psychologists describe as moral disengagement. The human brain has a powerful ability to justify behavior, slowly disconnecting from the idea that an action is wrong. The crime hasn't happened yet. The barrier protecting society has already started to break. Victim selection is never random. It's a game of cold strategy. It begins not with impulse, but with calculation. Observe, analyze, strike. A burglar conducts surveillance. No cameras. Corner lot. Easy X. A scammer hunts for emotional leverage. Lonely. Trusts too easily. Perfect. A predator decodes routines. Walks home alone. Always on the phone. Unaware. Every question is tactical. Who is isolated? Where is the gap in awareness? What is the point of least resistance? This isn't driven by emotion. It is pure calculation. The person is removed. The victim becomes a variable. The crime becomes the solution. Criminals rarely see themselves as villains. Instead, they create stories that justify their behavior. A thief might tell themselves, "Big companies lose money every day." A fraudster might think, if people are foolish enough to fall for this, it's their fault. Even violent criminals often believe they are the victim. They tell themselves, "They disrespected me. They pushed me too far. I had no choice." These justifications allow the brain to silence guilt. Once guilt disappears, the crime begins to feel acceptable. The high isn't just mental, it's physical. The world narrows to the plan. The heartbeat quickens, not with fear but with exhilaration. Every sound sharpens. The scratch of the pen, the snap of a photograph, the soft click of a lockpick. This is the sensory rush of total control. The brain floods with dopamine, a reward for absolute mastery. They feel every detail, every possibility. It's an intoxicating symphony of risk and precision, a craving for the moment when the plan becomes reality. Every criminal performs a simple mental calculation, risk versus reward. If the reward feels greater than the risk, the crime begins to make sense. A thief might see an expensive car and think about how much money it could bring. A scammer might imagine thousands of dollars flowing into their account. But the brain also asks another question: what are the chances I get caught? If the risk feels low enough, the crime moves one step closer to reality. One of the darkest transformations inside the criminal mind is the loss of empathy. The victim stops being a person. They become an object, a wallet, a bank account, or an opportunity. This psychological detachment allows criminals to ignore the suffering they cause. They stop imagining the fear, the trauma, the pain. Without empathy, the final barrier disappears. Just before a crime happens, the body enters a powerful psychological state. Adrenaline floods the bloodstream, heart rate rises. The brain becomes intensely focused. Psychologists sometimes call this tunnel vision. The criminal is no longer thinking about the future, not about prison, not about consequences. Only one thing matters: execution. Everything unfolds exactly as planned. Or at least, that's what the criminal hopes. After committing a crime, criminals often experience different reactions. Some feel panic, to others feel relief. But repeat offenders often feel something else entirely. Nothing. Over time, crime can become routine. Each successful act increases confidence. The criminal begins believing they are smarter than everyone else. And that belief can lead to bigger risks, bigger creamy sometime, deadly consequences. But no criminal is perfect, no matter how careful someone believes they are. Every crime leaves a trace, a fingerprint, a digital footprint, a witness, a camera. Eventually, investigators begin piecing together the puzzle, and slowly, the truth begins to surface. The most disturbing truth about criminals is this: they don't always look dangerous. They don't always seem suspicious. Sometimes, they are the person sitting next to you, the coworker you trust, or the neighbor who smiles every morning. But inside their mind, a different story may be unfolding. A story of justification, calculation, and opportunity. And sometimes, by the time the world realizes it, it's already too late.